Oh, hey, is this live? Maybe I'm live. Hi. I didn't know if I was live yet. I haven't done a thing in my car for a while, because the last time I did it, it kept cutting in and out on me. So I put it off for a while, but I seen a couple people posting some driving videos, and I thought, man, I want to do a driving video. So I thought I would do a driving video and give you guys my 2 cents on a subject here. So first, actually, Sean's watching, and Sean posted a video today on James chapter 1. The first couple verses. I'm not going to read you any verses, obviously, because I'm driving here. I'm opening my drink. Don't worry, that's not a beer. It's just my energy drink, my DOC. Anyways, Sean posted a video on James 1 verses 2 through 4, which kind of talks about consider it all joy when you go through various trials and tribulations. And Romans 5, the Apostle Paul says something to that same effect as well. That word too, sorry, I had a call coming. That word to delight in our trials and essentially capitalize on our hardships. That terminology actually comes from the AA book. It talks about that we need to capitalize on our hardships and the sufferings that we're going through, because God is using them to bring about something good. He's doing something inside of us. He's working on us. He's chopping things off and adding new things, kind of like he does. And then I was on a Facebook group, one of these recovery groups, and somebody asked if the coronavirus has helped or harmed your recovery. And I posted without even looking, and I gave a one-word answer: helped, period. Helped. Because it really has. It's really strengthened my recovery. And this ministry has really kind of done a lot too since the shutdowns and since all this started happening. Like, we published a number of little booklets. Me and a friend from Texas actually put together an entire, a whole full-length book that's yet to come out. I'm still having the manuscript overlooked by some different people, some different editors and stuff like that before I put that out, because it was a lot of work and I don't want to rush it, and there's really no rush. And I hooked up with some different people: Texas, Alabama. Got that California to Alabama connection going on. So it's been good. I've been able to do 2 video series, so I've done at least 20 videos, and I've added some other miscellaneous content here and there. Getting ready to do another series. I started it last week, doing the recovery series. That's probably going to run 10 to 12 weeks. I just finished putting together another lecture for that. That's going to be new. That wasn't with the original materials. I was going over another one. It's 9,000 words, so I said, we're going to have to split that up into at least 2, maybe 3. We'll see how it goes. But as I was going through that thread on the Facebook group, I noticed how many people were commenting how the coronavirus and the shutdowns have harmed their recovery. And they listed a bunch of different reasons, like, they couldn't go to meetings, they couldn't fellowship, they couldn't see their sponsor, isolation. A lot of people were kind of dwelling on the isolation aspect of the shutdowns, which I will agree are not ideal. I felt that at different times too, just feel lonely and disconnected from people. I go home to a full house. I go home to a house with 2 kids and my wife. But I still miss that fellowship. I still miss that time with addicts and people that are like-minded in recovery. But I noticed that a lot of people were commenting that it had harmed their recovery. And I know there's been some talk about how there's been a lot of relapses going on through this time. And again, I'm not trying to say this hasn't been a tough time. It's been a very tough time. It's been a very weird time. I've been fortunate enough to work, but I know a lot of people lost their jobs. I heard Joe Biden at the debate last week. I mean, I don't know how accurate this is, but he said 1 in 6 small businesses is shutting down. So even if that's true, maybe even if it's 1 in 10, yeah, it's a tragedy. That's terrible, right? No one should be losing their businesses. In an ideal world, we'd all be making plenty of money, supporting our families, we'd have a roof over our heads, plenty of food in our bellies, all that good stuff. But the fact that people are saying that this shutdown has harmed them and talking about how the relapse rate is up and the recovery rate is down. And really, I just wanted to comment because that's actually bizarre. That's bizarre because, it's been my observation that addicts and alcoholics or, people dealing with compulsive behaviors, struggles and suffering usually strengthens our recovery. It doesn't actually normally help it. Most people will say that it's times of indifference and it's times of just coasting when everything seems good. That's what's kind of harmed their recoveries. But that's not what people are saying this time around. And it made me think back to a quote from the AA literature. I think it's the 12 and 12. But it gives this account of during the Great Wars. It was either World War I or World War II. Sorry, I haven't reviewed the material in a while. But how during the Great Wars, right? Terrible times, hard times, world wars, the world at war with one another. War here, war there, famine. World War II is so bad, they still don't have a list of casualties. They still can't really narrow it down because it was that bad. But in that account, it talks about how during that Great War, recovery in the trenches was actually at an all-time high. It was up. It was way up. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard that expression, there are no atheists in the foxhole, there's no atheists in the trenches, right? Because when there's a bullet flying at your head, you don't pray to the universe. When there's a bullet flying at your head, you pray to God. You pray to the God that you understand is there, that Romans 1 says that is there. You pray to that God. You say, God, let me dodge this bullet, right? You don't pray to the universe. You don't do this postmodernism and all this other stuff that atheists and everybody does. You accept your fate, and then you cry out to the God who your fate, whose fate your hand is in. So recovery's been down, but during the Great Wars, recovery was up. Recovery as it was then is up. So I hate to be the one to say that, but I've been racking my brain over it for a few weeks now, and it just reminds me, it's like, and I'm not trying to judge, I'm not trying to be mean, and I don't think I'm better than anybody, because believe me, I don't work a conventional recovery program. None of us are bulletproof, none of us are fall proof, but I just have to wonder if these people's reliances were in the wrong place. If the recovery was built upon the meeting attendance, you pull out the meeting attendance and the recovery collapses. If the recovery's built upon being able to see your sponsor weekly, well, you take away your ability to see your sponsor weekly and the recovery collapses. Because it's built on something superficial. It's not built on a solid, sound, safe foundation. Now, the Bible tells us to build our lives, our recoveries, on God's Word. And God's Word is a rock. And the rains come down, the winds come, the storms come, batters the house, bashes against the house, and the house stands firm because it's built on a solid rock. And then that same little parable, whatever you want to call it, that same portion of the Sermon on the Mount, it says, but the foolish man builds his house in the sand. And and the same thing happens. The waves come, and it's getting battered and bashed and blown around, and lightning, thunder, and lions and tigers and bears, and all that's getting thrown at it, and it gets washed away. It gets washed away because the house was built on a faulty source. It was built on a faulty foundation. So when the adversity comes, the trials comes, it can't withstand the adversity, and it can't withstand the trials. So when I think about it, that's the only thing that I can think of. That's the only way that I could put it. That it shows us that in modern recovery, and again, this is not an attack against any program, because we're all susceptible of this. Even in Christian recovery, we can get too comfortable with the meetings. We can get too comfortable with the sponsorship. We can get too comfortable with the tools and start to build our recoveries on the tools and not the giver of the tools. We can build our lives on the method and not the giver of the method. We can build our life on the gift and not the giver of the gift. Christians can do that all the time. We have backsliding, we have relapse, we have all that in the church. So we can't ever say this stuff from a place of superiority. But we can say this from a place of certainty that recovery rates are pretty low right now because people have been building their recovery on faulty foundations. They've been leaning too much on the meetings. So we hear meeting makers make it. Well, that quote works good on a nice sunny summer day. That quote doesn't work so good during Corona when there's no meetings open and they've shut down the country. Or how about people who see their sponsor and work with a sponsee every day stay sober? Well, that works good on a nice, sunny, shiny, summery day. But what about during Corona and COVID when the whole world's shut down? You can't go see those people. And those things that it's built on are taken away from you. Well, I think we know why recovery rates are low right now. People are not trusting in God. And the AA book even says that the point of the book is to help you find a power greater than you to help you recover. But I don't know if that portion of the book is taught right, and I don't know if it's taught anymore. In fact, when I go to the book study meetings and I look at portions of the big book like We Agnostics, and I hear people in modern secular recovery discussing those portions of the big book, I hear it just as, it's just God bashing time. Oh, I don't need the God of the Bible. I don't need the God of Christianity. I can do this. I got that. Well, maybe it's time to reemphasize these things, that it's God who enables us to recover. It's not our meetings. It's not our quote recovery programs that will work. It's God. Because something's going to come. Some event's going to come and it's going to test the foundation. And if the foundation is not sound, then it's not going to last. It's not going to last. So as a Christian, I completely believe that the only solid foundation is God and His will word. Because His word is a reflection of Him. And He tells us to build your life upon this word. Look into this word. Study this word. Be a student of this word. So when the adversity comes and the trials come, you'll be able to withstand. And you'll be able to turn around and have the James 1. To consider it all joy. And you'll be able to stand in those situations, and you'll be able to realize this, that these situations are actually increasing our joy. That these sufferings are actually increasing our joy. And that's another thing that Christ says in the Beatitudes. Blessed are those when you're persecuted and hated and all that. Well, blessed, that's a beatitude. That's to be happy, joyous, and free during the trial, the storm, the sufferings. These things are actually serving to increase our joy in God, not decrease them. So that's my little thought for my drive home. I wanted to do one of these for a while now, and I thought I would do it today. I see some people watching. This was just a little impromptu, casual thing. And again, I'm not judging. I'm not trying to put anybody down, but it just really reinforces in my mind how important it is to have a stronger presence, to have a stronger Bible-based recovery presence. Because at least where I come from, it's pretty minimal. It's pretty minimal. And it just reinforces me how important it is as us that are Christians, people of the Bible, word-centered people, how important it is for us to mix and to mingle and be around people to be teaching these truths. To not only be lovers of these truths, but to be teachers of this truth. And to share this with people so they can know how they can have a quality recovery. Well, you want to know how to have a quality recovery? Build it upon God. Build it upon God's word. So, I'm just going to cut it there. I'm almost home. I'll be back live tomorrow night doing part 2 of the Bible-based recovery series. And we're going to be looking at a recovery, or an authority for recovery. And we'll be doing that from 1 Peter 3:15. Sean Gregory has already got a sneak peek at that. I read a lot of that lecture to him. And it's kind of a continuation of last week. And it's just laying down some more groundwork for week 4 when I pick up again. I pick up some of the ideas that I'm going to bring up tomorrow. So I'm excited about that. Looking forward to that. And like I said, I'm going to sign off. And anybody you think who needs this, go ahead, pass it on to them and share it around and like it and do all that good Facebook stuff. With that being said, I'm going to go. I'm going to give my brother a call. He just called me. I'm going to give my brother a call and keep this thing moving. All right. I love you guys. I'll see you around. Have a good one. Bye.